Side. All right, so you guys can see me in the picture.
Yep.
Sorry, I don't even know why I stepped back. There's not a big group. So I'm obviously orange and red, and everything behind me is blue and black, right? So if we take me out of the picture, it's going to fluctuate based on whatever's inside the screen. Okay, so what we're looking for are anything that's blue and moving. The cool thing about the way I have it set up is that any type of object or something it feels that is solid, because remember, this doesn't look at 3D, it only looks at temperature. Sure. So it puts a white outline on things that it thinks are an actual object. So if you see something blue and moving across my orange legs, it should have a white outline across it. Awesome. So it's already recording. Woo! You're going to hold it horizontal all night long. Okay. Your fingers are in front of the camera.
Damn it, I tried so hard.
You're right-handed.
Okay, I'm doing my best here.
There you go.
Yay, I pulled myself together.
All right, so you're literally going to hold it out all night, so that way, and you're going to keep it horizontal, so that way I can upload it to YouTube and then transfer it back. So
I'm going to find the shit out of some ghosts, baby.
Let me get your recording started. It's this way. What's today's date? Today the 8th?
Yeah. August
8th, 8 p.m. tour. And this, I think, time, as far as it getting dark and still doing a demonstration. So instead of 7 o'clock. I did a 7 o'clock over the weekend because I was fully booked on my 9 o'clocks, and it just got a little nuts. So you are going to listen to a spirit box. The cool thing about my spirit box is that it records the whole time, whether it's on mute or not. Okay. So you're going to have that full recording, obviously. If you hear something great, not a big deal if you miss it, because I'm going to have the recording, and I'll be able to check it out. There are hot spots. So do you know what a spirit box is?
S-box.
Okay, so a spirit box is basically a radio sweeper. So kind of think of a police scanner where you manually turn it.
Sure.
This is going to do it automatically for us. I have it set to a certain speed, so if you hear a radio DJ that says a word, tell me what it is. A commercial, tell me what it is. Most of this you're not going to be able to make out. You're going to say, Nick, all of it sounds a little muffled. If you hear a disembodied voice going over top of the static, I also need to know where that is. So that way I can mark it on the audio that I need to go back, because this won't record us. That's why I have all these other devices that record us. So right now, I don't have it set up yet, but even when it's silent, it's still recording. So it's already sweeping, as you can see there in the digital. The only thing you need to know is keep that SD on, so don't hit anything here. And there's the volume. Really simple. So you're going to actually be double fisted, so I'm going to give you another gadget to keep an eye on too. Only because I don't want Brian to drop my camera.
Fair.
I'll show you what all the other stuff is, just in case I need to pull it out, because we have something else going on.
There's so many haunted cars right now.
I got a whole bag full of gadgets, as I'm sure you can see. Alright, EMF, are you familiar?
Is that electromagnetic field?
Yes, electromagnetic field. So there's 3 types that this particular one will measure, and your TV shows will not explain this to you. So electromagnetic fields come naturally from the Earth. That's why it's green. Okay, so anything from an electronic device that's really sitting on top of it or really close, like a cell phone, wiring. Some of our ley lines for the parking meters are underneath the sidewalk, so it's going to make it go off because it's creating an electromagnetic field. But that's going to give us a pulse. We don't want a pulse. We want this thing to go absolutely bonkers. So when we can't make out a rhythm, or looking at it going, I don't think that's a rhythm, I think it's a little nuts, or it's going all the way up to red, then back down to green, and then this, that, and the other. That's when I really need you to speak up. And I'll ask you, because I know where some hot spots are, so it doesn't make any noise.
Awesome. And so this is on mute, right? Right now?
Yeah, so obviously when I'm talking, I'm going to keep it down.
Okay.
And then when I say, go ahead, let's get our spirit box up, because I'm going to run a couple of them myself.
You'll tell me.
Yeah, I'll just say, go ahead, let's turn it up a little bit, and let's kind of take it from there. I'm going to show you what the other gadgets are. You guys know what a point-and-shoot camera is. We're not going to use that tonight. In the event that we need to debunk what's going on with your thermal imaging camera, I do use 2 different types of thermometers. So if he was standing here and said, Nick, there's a blue spot on the wall, and it's got a white outline, first thing I'm going to do, you guys know what this guy is, right? Big red infrared. I'm going to test the wall and see if it's the same temperature all the way across. If it is, then I now know that the cold spot is between him and the wall. So I need this guy. So this is an ambient thermometer that's actually meant to be, it's a psychrometer. So it's meant to measure humidity. I don't care about humidity. It also gives me ambient temperature. So I will kind of keep these handy, and obviously I'm going to carry the bag with me in case we need to use it and debunk some stuff.
Dope.
Let's see what else. We'll go into these guys real quick. So this one is relatively new. I haven't caught anything with it yet, but this is actually a grid. So what this will do,
Whoa.
it helps us see things we can't see with the naked eye because we can't see the lasers until something's actually in it, correct?
Okay.
So in the event we actually caught something and somebody with a digital camera on my team of 10 caught the picture, I can then put that into a 3D software and we have a full 3D view of what we caught. Pretty sweet, right?
Super dope.
So I haven't caught anything with it yet because it's, again, the red doesn't always show up in the pictures either. So yeah.
And it'd have to be super solid for it to...
Well, not necessarily.
Okay.
So I'll demonstrate with the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Because the next one is super bright and does show up on pictures. I'll keep it kind of handy so we can use it from time to time. This is another grid. I tell people it's the neuralizer from Men in Black, and they're not going to remember a damn thing when they're done. But this one,
Whoa.
so it obviously is going to present a much bigger picture.
Sure.
And it's way brighter, so I can actually go pretty far out there. It's not dark enough for it to see yet, but
cool.
If just to show you, and go ahead and film this because this might show up on your camera. I'm going to blow smoke through the top of this up here, so I need you guys to like look right underneath the tip. See those kind of green streaks? It doesn't need to be solid. All three of us know that smoke isn't solid. But it's also not going to stay there for a very long period of time.
Sure.
So it's a matter of capturing on video or quick picture. But I have had weird things happen with this device in the past, so we're going to keep that one here. Let's see what else. Covers. I do use another spirit box, which is the same one you guys see on the TV shows. That's the SB7. And yeah, that's all I cover except for what I use on my phone.
Okay.
So my phone is super cool. My wife got me this giant phone. Thank you for working at Best Buy and having a spare one lying around. But I do carry a backup EMF in case your battery's drained. So,
cool.
In a pinch, I have had to use it in the past. This is it's a digital spirit box. So what it does is the same thing as yours. They're not synced up, but it will give us words in the center. So the last tour actually had 54 entries. Okay?
Yeah.
So we're going to clear those out and start you guys off fresh. Here's what I'll tell you about this app. 80% of it is bullshit. It's meant to be a game and hoax. We're going to take the 20% that's relative and take those words. I did buy the upgraded version, so it has a much bigger vocabulary, so it doesn't mistake mouse for house. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So I use one more because I use them simultaneously. It's a reverse spirit box. Reverse spirit box takes those FM frequencies and it actually plays them backwards, so it sounds like complete gibberish. When it does, when something comes through forward and it's a direct answer to a question that one of us was asking, then I know it was an intelligent response, so forth and so on. So let me turn this up so you guys can get a gist of it. So normally I would wander away from a group of 10, because I have basically 4 spirit boxes running at this point. I don't want them to cross the streams.
Sure.
So, Ghostbuster joke, sorry. So I will walk away and do my own session, and that way you guys have it on your audio. But because we're going to be pretty tight-knit, I'll say, why don't we turn yours down and turn mine up and see what happens. But I do keep the word one on the screen the whole time. As soon as I find it, and that stays up, and I just hold it all night long. So in case something pops up, I can say, hey, we got the word building. You know, just relative. Cool. So I will try to connect to every single word that pops up, but again, 80% of it, if I can't prove it, I call it BS, and we move on.
Tight.
So we start here at this building on purpose. This building behind you that you're leaning on is haunted.
Tight.
It was once known as Big John's back in the 1970s, and it is named after Big John Kennedy, who was a football player for the 1947 Giants. He's from Charleston. He lives in Charleston, loves Charleston, so they named that place after him.
Cool.
It's big. Can't remember what position it was because I'm not a football guy. But anyway, he used to sit in the back of the bar and tell the cadets that came over from the Citadel, he would tell the bartender if the cadets were old enough. If they weren't, tell the bartender, he cut them off. So one night, he does that to 2 guys that obviously weren't old enough, and they get kicked out. The next night, they come back and steal the cash register.
Yo.
Big John pulls out his .45, and he shoots him, and he kills him.
Damn.
The bullet hole is still in the front of the building, because it ricocheted off of the person he killed.
Get him, John.
So the previous owner, Paul, of Kane Rum Bar, which is probably what popped up on your Google, he didn't like get rid of the bullet hole. He just covered it with a panel, which means that piece of haunting is still here. Anybody that sits in the front from time to time will get a little queasy, dizzy, headache, those kind of things.
Get out.
Now, I bring this up on purpose. It's another reason why I start here. I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect you guys. You're going to have paranormal activity tonight. I know how it's going to affect me. I will be honest. I think it was, what's today, Tuesday? Saturday night, I went home and I took something with me. So my wife is like, you need to get in touch with, we have a couple of psychic friends and they all do different things. She's like, you need to get in touch with Sandra, get yourself a talisman or something, because you can't come home puking and throwing up and shaking because you have something with you. And you,
That's bad.
yeah. So again, I've had people pass out on this tour, not from heat,
Sorry.
too much activity. Please speak up for one each the other. Okay?
On it.
The other haunting that comes with this place, the mantle above your head was actually affected by the 1886 earthquake, struck somebody in the head in the front of the building, killed him. This is where the first death occurred. So Paul, the previous owner, said that he has seen apparitions from time to time in the front of the building. So we didn't cover COVID stuff. As far as masks and all that, Charleston right now is fining people without warning $100. That's kind of the deal.
Grim.
I've given you guys kind of the heads up. I have a mask. If we get into a very popular area, I'll say masks up. You guys have some with you? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I have one in my pocket. You're like me. I got to wear cargo pants everywhere because I got drinks, I got my mask, I got my vape. I got shit everywhere. But all of your gadgets have been sanitized. I do disinfect twice a day. When I use them in the morning to re-upload, and then obviously before your tour. So
Cool.
you guys don't have my germs either. I also have hand sanitizers. If anybody needs it, just stop, ask. I have it. It's right here.
Party.
All right, you guys ready to go find some ghosts?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do this shit. Let's go. Oh, thank you for picking a cool night. Last week was horrible. So we had a heat advisory, so that means I didn't have a ton of tours, but come the weekend, like, I was jammed full.
Awesome, man.
Which is great for me because
Oh, yeah.
that's just more data.
Why do you do this here and not Philly or Boston or?
Because I live here. I'm originally from Ohio, so I moved down here with my ex-wife and kids, and we lived in Myrtle Beach. And to get away from the ex-wife, I moved to Charleston because this is more my speed anyway.
Okay.
And as a writer and writing the things that I write about, this makes more sense. So my new wife is totally supportive. She's actually my graphic designer for everything Stories in the Cemetery.
Cool, man.
She created this logo and all that mess. Enough about me. So yeah, you can keep asking questions.
Okay.
But Fruit Cafe behind you guys, that is haunted. They have asked me last year to come do a full investigation for my podcast. I did find some EMF upstairs. I'm just kind of doing a quick sweep. I could probably debunk it pretty quickly because it's an older building. Trying to find the history and the story that they're telling me, nothing adds up because that used to be a slave home, and slave homes didn't have addresses. So trying to find titles and deeds to homes and everything. And I know, and it's a cafe now. And you're looking at it going, that was a slave home? Well, it was obviously expanded. That much I do know. So when they gave it an address, they obviously made it a much bigger home, or tore down a slave home and put that there. I don't know.
Sure.
So hopefully I get to do that soon. The stop sign down there. Are you guys? I got a Mississippi number. Is that where you guys are from?
Years ago.
I'm from Maryland.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do you guys live now?
Yeah,
I live
here.
in Maryland.
Yeah.
Oh, so you said here.
Ish. I'm only in and out of town. I've only been like 9 weeks in town total.
Okay, I got you. All right, so you don't know a whole lot about Charleston. All right, so the peninsula that you're standing on actually used to be much skinnier. So water goes this way, right, around us. So it was much skinnier because the shit we have now is all man-made to expand it, right? Piers and wharfs and all kinds of stuff. So Revolutionary War, the water's over this way. Ship rolls in, shoots a cannon, and lands right there at that stop sign. It was just a little tidbit of a fact that I found on another website that I was like, oh, that's actually right on my tour. I can add that in.
That's right.
So we're going to investigate. Oh, perfect. I might actually take some pictures just because there's no cars in here. This is the red barn where they keep the horses for the carriage rides. This is a good playground for you guys to get started because there's no real full history here. This is normally when I have a group of 10 and I say, go play, and I'll bounce around with all of you and answer your questions. The horses are inside. So the kids with lasers, I got to warn them, no lasers on the building. It's also the same red barn that they had horses that delivered milk to Charleston. So that dates it for you a little bit. We're talking like 1860s to 1920s.
Cool.
So this place is haunted as hell. Your EMF will sometimes start right where you're standing. Okay. Sometimes it waits until all the way at the end. There's nothing in here that's going to make that thing go off other than that little box over there, and it's not strong enough to go anywhere more than a foot away from it. I've tested it thousands of times. We do have a box over there, but it's, again, not strong enough. There's a sewer line underneath us, so there's really nothing that's going to make this go crazy. We'll run your spirit box in here for sure and just kind of play around. Now, I will tell you that this place in particular I've been doing this for a year. I want to say 3 times I had to move folks out of here quickly just because it was malevolent.
Awesome.
So I try not to go to malevolent places. Like, this is a happy tour. Like, Nick's the happy guy. But like, if I say we gotta go, we gotta go.
Okay.
Cool.
Fair?
Yeah.
Hell
You
yeah.
choose to run? No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I can take care of myself.
Forward core. What else did I get? Yeah. I got Kevin again. So Kevin showed up, and I'll tell you about like previous tours because it's always a repeat thing. So Kevin showed up on the regular spirit box. You could up there for me, that's going crazy.
Oh yeah. Tight.
So you can go and turn up the spirit box. But Kevin came up on another spirit box last week, and he said, "I just heard Kevin again." So a lot of times I'll get John Kennedy's teammates to kind of come down here, and they'll give me like their weird names, like Skipping. Who the hell's named Skipping? Nobody. So I have the roster from 47 to 52 when Kennedy played, so that way I can kind of see like all of the different names that pop up. Even if it's the last name, if it comes up as Mitchell, it could have been one of the teammates.
What were the kids' names?
What kids?
The dude who got smoked, whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Never found that record.
Dude, it's Kevin.
Might have been.
I'm just saying.
I got the word miss. So this is, I want you to get used to the different types of material with that. So like once you're done scanning the metal, look at the way the brick and the wood looks. This is another good place where you get a really good gist of how that,
Sure.
But that thing will also not see through windows, which is something I had to learn after the fact. Because I was like, oh, damn it, I'm going to get some of those window frames.
Sure.
Out of some of these other buildings. But it looks at a panel of glass like it's a solid object.
Right, because
So it's only going to give us temperature.
Sure.
It's going to be like when Charleston's quiet on a weekday. Weekdays are best for these tours. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Because that's the most activity I find. It's not the weekends when it's hustling and bustling and I got 10 people per tour. So,
Is this effective?
it's only got batteries in it.
Okay. What?
So my cell phone.
Help me understand.
So my cell phone's going to give you a pulse
Because it's receiving.
because it's actually going to a cell tower. So
Okay.
in order for a cell phone to work, it has to communicate with the tower, the nearest one. So every time that thing goes up to
I
red,
see, it's a pattern.
yeah, it's definitely
Okay,
a pattern
cool.
about every 2 seconds.
Okay.
So if I pull my cell phone
Okay.
away, but your spirit box is not going to affect it because it only has batteries. Now it is receiving a radio signal,
Yeah.
but it's not going to make that thing go all the way up to red. So I mean, if you hold them side by side, yeah, it might affect it a little bit when it's, but not to the point where it's like, oh my god, we have some shit going on. So I do want to play with this for a second. Go ahead, you're going to hold it. So I'm just going to see what the pattern is first. Make sure it's not going to do what I'm already going to ask it to do and falsify something for you guys. Alright, so if I actually have somebody here, and if it's Kevin, make this device go to red. Okay, a little bit of red. And see, I got nothing in my hand. I've been called a charlatan many, many times. Oh, nice. Okay, so Kevin, if that's you, I want you to make it go to green. Make it go all the way down to green. One light. You got to step away from it to do that. Nope, I want you to step away from it. The word supreme. We're almost down to green. Come on, keep going, Kevin, all the way down to green. Step away. He's like, screw you guys, I don't want to hang out.
Right.
Wow. He's really wanting to hang out with me.
If you get haunted tonight, I'll do my best not to do it.
Are you hearing anything? Because I'm listening to your spirit box too. I'm waiting to see if there's anything coming through, but it's not loud enough for me to hear it. Right here. Unclear. Might be. Kevin, if that's you, I want you to say your name through the spirit box and make this green device go to green. tell us what your name is.
Bruh, that totally sounded like Kevin. Though.
Thanks, Kevin. You went green and said it.
Damn, Kevin.
I'll have to back that up because I didn't hear it. Kevin, tell us what's inside the red barn. Nice to see. What's inside the red barn? I heard side lot. Did you guys hear that? It was two different voices. Tell me what's inside the red barn. My process is normally to ask the same question once every 20 to 40.
No, I didn't hear that.
Once every 20 to 30 seconds until I get an answer. If I don't get something after about 2 minutes, I move on to another question.
Should have recorded it while Kevin was standing next to you. I messed up. Damn it.
I got the audio.
Tight.
That's why I do multiple pieces where you guys get everything. Kevin, tell us what color the barn is. You got multiple devices to tell us. What color is the barn? I'm waiting to hear like red wine or something.
Huh.
That's happened before too. Alright, let's go ahead and turn that down. I'm not gonna answer. So you guys kind of get the gist of how we're gonna operate.
Oh, yeah.
Does he manipulate or use this to communicate?
Yes. So think of it as Bumblebee from Transformers. Have you
Sorry.
seen that movie?
Yeah, but I'm not.
Okay,
making a
Bumblebee
connection.
talked to everybody
With the
through the
radio.
radio. So he would literally flip the stations until he got what the phrase that he wanted to say and then play it. And then if
Okay.
it was going across multiple stations, because I heard side lot
Okay.
from two different people. It was a woman, then a man. So it was
Okay.
side lot. And it's kind of like,
Uh-huh.
that's exactly where we're standing. So you already know how that works, obviously. You got the gist of all the different types of
Hell yeah.
material you're going to see? Okay. All right, let's go learn some history.
Super dope. If there's a restroom at any point on this
There is.
tour. Hey! This tour has everything.
I'm here to please, my man. I'm here to please. I also take folks to places that aren't on every other tour. Because, I mean, what's to see at the Red Barn, right? The horses aren't out. You know, the ghost tours, they're going to very pretty places and telling you legends and all that stuff. I'm taking you to parking lots. to
Oh,
see
yeah.
what the hell's going on. Alright, so, after we're done here, there's a corner candy store. There's a public
Yeah,
restroom
yeah.
in there.
We was eating a couple days ago in that church right there.
Black Church.
That was
That
cool.
place is haunted as hell.
Awesome.
I haven't done anything in there yet, but I run into like the waitresses and all the time, going to the cars or whatever, and I see there. I always stop and like tell me some stories. I need to know some shit.
Dope.
But this is the Eliza and Charles Pinckney mansion site.
Cool.
So the mansion was in the front. I'm gonna get to who they are here in a sec. You look a little confused. Like I know those names. Eliza's garden would have been lined up with where we are in that blue dumpster, and then the slave homes would have been back here. So Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. They were signers of our Constitution, the son and the nephew. The father was a big politician, blah, blah, blah. He did come through for the first time, I want to say Saturday or Sunday night, and gave us the month October twice. So when I started going through, like, what the hell's the deal with October, and I started looking at Eliza, because that's normally the story I tell, come to find out, Eliza likes when I talk about her. Charles was born in October, and he died in October, so that's why I had October twice.
Yeah.
But Eliza is the big story that I tell here. So you guys have probably seen indigo stuff all over town.
Yeah.
This is where it started. So, give you the story, is Eliza married Charles so she could stay here in the States. She's from England. Her dad was dying, at least he thought he was, and he wanted her home, but to stay here, because she didn't want to go, she married Charles. There's a big age gap. So, Dad got better, and Dad was still sending her gifts, very prominent family, and one of those gifts happened to be the plant indigo. He was always sending her plants that weren't indigenous to the States. So, she planted it, and the rice plantations were going downhill. Well, indigo actually gives us blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. So that's how we make blue jeans. We still use it. She's turned it into a giant cash crop and had to move it further inland. And we're talking colonial times where there were no businesswomen. It wasn't a thing. Businesswomen, like women, weren't allowed to do a whole lot. She was the same person who sold all of that indigo overseas, like to all of those leaders of other countries. So Eliza is a big deal to Charleston. A couple things we can ask when we're going through a spirit box session is Eliza was the second wife named Eliza, so we can ask her what her maiden name was, because that's what she goes by, Eliza blank Pinckney. And again, she was the second wife of Charles, named Eliza back to back. So good for you, Chuck. They had 4 kids. I already told you one son's name was Charles, but there was only one daughter, so we'll try to find out what the daughter's name is. Cool. I know all the answers to these questions, by the way. Obviously, I don't like to give suggestive thoughts, so you guys start. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like listen for a number or whatever. So we can find out how old she was when she died. What did she die of? Where was she buried? That kind of thing. We can also ask what happened to the house. That seems to be the most prominent. I'm going to take you guys to the corner of the lot that it actually gets the most activity, and you'll learn why as we kind of move along. Awesome. But nice slow sweeps on your video. Try to get a gist of, because cars are a good place to learn about thermodynamics as well, because cars project heat downwards. So we don't get excited when there's an empty space in between 2 cars that have been here for a little while, and the ice cold gravel is going to look black, and it's just going to be an empty space. So there's usually a light, a second light on the back of that building over there, and sometimes it's blinking, and it usually goes in sync with whatever the EMF is doing. Cool. Now right now it's not blinking, it's not even on, but it changes, and that kind of shows you what happens with this. So I'll be kind of curious to see what happens in it, because she's already going off the red, just for me talking over here, and sometimes she usually just hits the orange. But let's head over to, I'm going to use my spirit box this session, just so that you can kind of get a gist of how that one works. So we'll keep yours low, but keep an eye on your EMF. Let's go up to this corner up here. If I had, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and turn it down. Just leave it down. Okay. We're going to listen to mine and see what happens. So up in this kind of northeast corner is where we get the most activity. So let's try to find out what happened to the house first. So if you actually want to face that way and just get a nice slow sweep all the way across, try not to get the cut through, because it'll give us a false positive. We'll be looking at an orange person when we need a blue person. So Eliza, first off, can you tell me how many people I have with me? Eliza, how many people did I bring? Eliza, tell me what happened to your house, please. Eliza, I know you're here. You can see the EMF going crazy with all the lights. So just tell me what happened to the house. So when it starts chirping like that, that's this app gaining more frequency to hopefully give us a word soon. They're gaining a stronger signal. hearing is the app running in the background. So it makes no sense. Eliza, tell me what happened to the house. What happened to your beautiful home that was standing right here where I'm at? The other crazy thing about having all these different types of devices, so if I ask a question, and I got a group of 9 people out there, and they're asking questions, sometimes my answer that I'm waiting for goes to another device.
Cool.
And I usually ask odd questions, like how many people are with me? You know, something I didn't tell the group, so that way they're not asking the same question, and then they hear the number 9, and I'm the one that asked it over here. But if I get somebody that hears the number 9, and they have, like, I heard the number 9. It's like because I asked how many people are with me tonight over here, and you hear it on your audio. I get a lot of it. And it might even show up on the audio for the camera.
Cool.
Come on, Eliza. Don't let me down tonight. They're not giving us much over here. Let's just kind of take a walk in there. Eliza. Charles here tonight? I'm trying to stay away from yes or no's, but sometimes they just pop out.
Oh.
That way I don't get because yeses and no's are too easy to, you know what I mean, like mistake for something else.
Sure.
Eliza, what was your husband's name? No. I got the word no. Seriously. Like, that's what she gives me. No. Unless that was the answer to the question of, is he with you?
Maybe we're not talking to Eliza right now. Maybe somebody else. Bum, 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 bum.
I mean, she had a huge family.
So,
Eliza, what was your maiden name? Please, Nick. That's what I heard. So, I usually repeat what I hear so that way you can rewind by 5 seconds and try to verify what I just heard. Eliza, let's go with something simple. I know it's 3 syllables, but give me your full name. Eliza, just say your name for us. And again, parking lot. There's no reason for that thing to be going off.
cool.
Because even the signs from, because they have to pay, if they pay, like there's a certain lot number, and it's just a sign, like there's no wiring or anything. And all the wiring around the wall, it's dead. I tested it. They used to have a restaurant here called Molly Darcy's, where they actually saw a full apparition. Woman in a blue dress, but it wasn't Eliza. It was the period the dress was wrong, so they thought it was her aunt. So it would have been before Eliza. She's not really giving me much tonight. Disappointingly, we had more activity going on over there. I mean, she's giving us something here. She's... You getting any weird spots on there?
Nah, not yet.
Okay. All right, Eliza, we're gonna get moving. Can you say goodnight? What you need. What I need is what? Eliza, we're gonna go. Can you say goodbye or goodnight? I heard smoke. Naval. What branch are you in?
Air Force. But I do have a naval.
That's a different naval.
Okay, fair enough.
Alright, I'm gonna call it. So we're gonna walk past that candy shop and go a few more blocks to, and it's a pretty populated area, so I'll see kind of where it is and
Cool.
wear masks. But that way you guys can use the restroom if you need to.
Thank God.
Where have you guys all been today?
Where have we been?
We
Woke
Angel
up-
Oak and
woke up at a Marriott.
yeah.
Went running around town.
Oh yeah,
like
that's right.
jogging.
You hit the park, the big one by the Citadel.
Yeah, I never
Marion
seen
Square.
the Citadel, so I went over there.
Oh, you went to the
A
other,
beautiful park with
the
a
actual
pond.
Citadel. So the old Citadel has a park too.
Yeah, I went to the school, I guess.
And then yeah, Angel Oak and Magnolia Plantation.
Which are both haunted.
Hell yeah.
So I live pretty close to Magnolia Plantation.
Cool.
That's actually where I had my wife and I got married by justice of the peace 2 days
Aw.
after my divorce, and then we went to Magnolia Plantation for the day.
Very cool.
So this is the restroom, but it's definitely a mask up if you're gonna head in. So
Thank goodness.
I'm gonna go in.
you're gonna go
Yeah.
too? You want me to hang on all that stuff for you?
Would you? Appreciate it.
Oh, and that's from the parking meter, by the way. Nothing crazy.
Thanks, boss.
No problem.
The only historical haunt tour I ever did, it was just real gimmicky, and they held the EMF against
Mhm.
like electrical boxes. And okay, cool.
Yeah, no.
That's cool.
Thanks, Fred. Appreciate it, man. We'll be right back.
No problem. Well, I get to smoke while you guys are in there.
told you that.
I really just don't like it.
Oh, no. I told you that before.
You realize it's so much closer.
I was happy to see there were only 20 people on the bailing. So out of 1,000 people that went out. Right.
Let's do this using the restroom. But free sample?
Nah, I'm good, man.
All right.
I gotta watch the sugar. One Pepsi a day is about my extent.
Too funny.
What was it? The homeless guy? The black guy that came out? Came out with a little cigarette about that big.
Smelled like he was smoking in the picture, and I was like, come on, man, you can do it outside.
I used this restroom this past weekend. No mask could help me in there. Like, it was bad.
Brutal.
That back for you.
Woo!
How much cash did you blow in there?
Hey, not too much. They got us through.
Traffic, you know. Less than $10.
Oh, that's good.
We'll survive.
Yeah, Angelo, actually, I mean, there's more to see there than just the tree.
I believe it. We pulled in at 5 minutes before closing. Yeah. Still beautiful. I was dang glad we could see it.
Well, there's a geocache there. I
Oh,
do
cool.
geocaching.
Yeah.
There's this. You've been going nuts the whole time you were in there? I'm sorry, I forgot your name, sweetheart.
Ricky.
Ricky.
And your Nick?
Yeah. Yep. All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you want anything?
I thought I might not watch the sugar anyway.
I offered him my free chocolate samples, but
Oh.
No, unless they just forgot the sign. Where's the parade? So this is the market. Did you guys come down here yet?
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Good out here tonight. I don't even think I'm gonna need my basket on.
Cool.
I like it.
Well, I have epilepsy, so about 5, maybe 10 minutes max is about all I can take for the max. So I find it pretty lenient to take it. Mother-in-law started her little online business because she makes all of our masks for us.
Cool.
Mine are all ghost themed or haunted themed of some sort.
Cool.
She's actually been pretty good.
She sews.
Yeah. Like,
Take advantage of it, you know?
Yep.
It's the market.
Make it cheap. Sell them hot.
Hell yeah. They're on Etsy right now for like 10 a piece. If you could get them like to 4.
She got them at 5.
Yeah.
5 and
6,
7.
5, 4. Yeah.
So 750
That's the
are
money
licensed
spot right
ones.
there.
Yep. And that's where, I mean, she's pulling in, I'd say about 300 or 400 a month.
Yeah.
No joke. Awesome.
So at $5 a pop. So like, there's my Jack and Sally.
Yeah, cool.
You know, and they're triple layered. Oh, sure. Right?
Yeah.
And they're triple layered. You know, I put together a nice little website for her. And I set her up with squares so she doesn't have to worry about collecting cash.
Right.
And so she makes all my masks for free. So I just ship her whatever patterns I want. She sends them back. Sorry, this is like the mom part.
I like your name.
But it's a nice cool night. I'm happy.
This is great.
I don't have to put on extra deodorant for y'all. I think everybody's afraid of the rain. I just checked the weather while you guys were inside. It said it might rain in an hour. Like,
Yeah.
might rain and
Every
will
time
rain.
I check it, it's like it's gonna rain in an hour. It's gonna rain in an hour. Like, great.
Well, people don't really know our weather. Like, if it says it's gonna rain for 5 minutes and
Yeah.
stop. Nice day like today. I'm not worried about it. Sorry, I don't see that in front of you there.
It's all good.
So, if you guys are looking for a good place to eat, I heard Magnolia's is like the best in town.
Oh, very cool.
We're gonna go right down this alley.
Awesome.
Watch your step. Not many people come down here with a small group and just tell you guys what it is along the way. So we'll kind of slow our pace just so in case something pops up. This is Lodge Alley. This is one of the oldest streets in Charleston. So again, water's behind us. So it would have been much closer, much stinkier than the low tide. The people that used to live on this street, they were kind of lower class, and they know that because of the archaeological digs they did in between these bricks. These original bricks from like 1780, 1790. They're made out of clay. They're not actual real bricks that we would find today. They found some of their silverware. They found some of their tools, some pieces of their clothing, and I do get names that pop up that actually, I got the word resort, but it actually relates to this building to my right. But I do get one specific name that pops up all the time, and it is a gentleman that lived here in 1801. So that's based on the census. So this is a really cool place just to know what part of history it is. And I used to kind of like tell stories about my other investigations here, but I'm getting so much that actually relates to the alley. And I was like, I'm not telling my stories anymore. I'm just gonna actually do an investigation.
Okay.
We have caught shadow people up here by this half wall with a thermal imaging camera and a digital camera to verify each other. So that was a cool find. This is to my right is a regular hotel here. It's called the Lodge Alley Inn. It has its own claim ghosts, but nothing that actually relates to Charleston history, so I don't normally talk about it too much. I do kind of like to pass by. We'll let you pass through. But it is a super cool dark alley that we can see the key.
Yeah.
Not to mention the view of St. Philip's Church. Is
Oh, cool.
absolutely stunning.
That's great.
Yeah, this is a great spot. So I usually just kind of hang out here for a minute. And then usually when I have a bigger stand, it allows everybody to catch up. And I came up on the spirit boxes, along the way. But I did get the word marker. Oh, I got lost in hate. The word resort came up, which is interesting because this is a blue-green property. So it's like a timeshare.
Okay.
People will obviously purchase, but seen anything weird in there?
Yeah.
What do you got?
Big old dark patch right there.
Because that's exactly where I found the shadow before.
Cool.
How dark are we going? So that could be just the air around. I'm going to walk through your camera. Leave it still here for a second. I'm going to walk through so it kind of recalibrates with some heat. I think you're just catching the ferns that's falling through.
Well, you can see the ferns up top.
Oh, so it's actually below it?
Yeah, so you got ferns hanging out up top.
Uh-huh.
And there's this little blue silhouette right below it. Bum, 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 bum. I'm going to say definitely a dead guy.
I should take a picture and find out. That's exactly where I caught the shadow before.
You getting bit?
Are you?
Hell yeah.
Are you really?
Hell yeah. Worth it though to see some dead people.
Even to feel it, there's a little bit of like the mud's keeping it cool versus the regular bricks.
Sure.
So I'm just trying to debunk it. That's all. I'm not trying to discredit your find.
It definitely makes sense for the moist moss to be slightly cooler than the rest of the world.
So that blue that you saw could only be 1 to 2 degrees cooler than this guy.
It was, yeah. So it's 85 over here, 81 right here.
There you go.
So the dead guy's hiding in the moss. I think we can all agree. We're on the same page here.
Do you need a flashlight? Can you see?
I'm fine.
There it is with me too. This bag is actually chock full of batteries, flashlights, all the extra gadgets. This is actually the neighborhood up here. People's homes, so I can tell kids again. Watch the lasers, people watching TV, trying to wind down. Yeah, people live here.
Fucked up in that alley.
Yeah, bit up that bad, dude.
Oh yeah, mosquitoes love me.
Oh.
hit
Okay.
some of the legends that we've not hit.
Awesome.
Flowers. Horses and flowers.
So again, I usually have my picture taker.
No doubt.
Okay.
Thank you.
Quick break. This alley.
Cool.
Look at that. Wait, this is a big touristy spot. So I stop here normally, especially when I only have a small group. So this place used to, this gate is important to the story. So this now is Philadelphia Alley. I had to name it after a city that saved us out of one of our fires. So it went to Philadelphia. And that was also because dueling became illegal and stupid. So this used to be called Duelers Alley before Philadelphia Alley. Obviously, a lot of duels happened here. We all tell one story. However, I'm going to tell the story here, but we're going to actually loop around. I'll tell you some more stories, and we'll come back through here
So-
because there's a lot that goes on here through the walk. But the story is very simple. Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd moved down here from Rhode Island. Sorry, you're getting bit up, dude.
No worries, man.
So he moved down here from Rhode Island. He was supposed to get married to his fiancée Amanda, and she just inherited a bunch of money from her parents. She's dead, and the lawyer that's handling the money says, "No, you're not getting married." So he tells the doctor, "Go start your practice somewhere else, and we'll talk about making sure you're not just after her money." So he moves down here to Charleston to prove he wants to marry this girl. So the coachman that brings him into town says, "This isn't a good place." The coachman brings him into town and sets him up to be robbed and killed
Shit.
in a bad place, bad part of the neighborhood. Somebody walking by says, "You don't want to stay here, let me take you somewhere else." So he takes him to 59 Church Street, where he rents a room upstairs for two ladies downstairs. So the two become friends. That guy's name was Ralph Isaacs. I say that specifically because he likes to come through a lot. So Ralph and the doctor, they're becoming friends, and Ralph is an attorney, and he's from Charleston. So as the doctor's practice was getting better, they had to sit in different seats when they went to plays together. So they would only talk about the plays they went to go see on the way home because they weren't next to each other. Well, one night they go see Richard III from Shakespeare, and the doctor loved the new actress that was in town. Ralph did not. It turned into an insult party on the doctor's fiance back home.
Dang.
Yep. So the two got pissed off, went their separate ways, but Ralph, being a regular Charlestonian, has ties with the paper, so he gets a big old page in the paper that says the doctor is a big disgrace to the city of Charleston. He takes our money, and he's not from here. He's not one of us. So the doctor sees it, he gets pissed off, and he rebuttals with, "Go to Doors Alley. Let's settle this right now." They come down here, back to back, take 20 paces, they turn, the doctor points his gun in the air, and he shoots. He didn't want to kill a friend, but Ralph took 2 shots below the knees, and the doctor drops.
Damn.
A loser of a duel is normally what? Dead, right? Normally the dead person is picked up, carried through here, over to St. Philip's Cemetery, dropped in their grave, and then everybody goes celebrates the winner with a pint. That's how the shit went down. However, it didn't happen here. The doctor got picked up, and he got carried back to his house at 59 Church Street.
Yeah.
So, he dies 10 days later. When he was getting wealthier and wealthier, he used to whistle a lot. So when you walk through here, it is said you can hear the whistles of the doctor and or gunshots.
Cool.
The end of this alley, and I think you guys, you were at Magnolia, so you probably could have seen them, but didn't realize what they were. The bricks get older as you walk through here, so the bricks at the end were actually sun-dried by slave children. So there's actually fingerprints and one handprint at the end of this alley. I'll point it out when we go through here fully. What the hell these people are doing? This is a hot spot for tours, like Saturdays and Sundays. I usually tell the story over there because it gets so interrupted. But anyway, I'll point it out, but it's residential, so it'll be quick, and then we'll make it like that in the alley. We're actually going to go cut through their tour.
Hell yeah.
I usually get a lot of words related to Ralph, and then earlier last year I had a lot of terms that were related to whatever we cut through the tour. I used to mask up. I got a lot of words related to the doctor, so I had doctorate, medicine. I had the word knees come up before, like plural, to prove the 2 shots. The reason why we tell that story, the only story, because there's probably been hundreds of duels that have happened here, is because it's the only one we can prove. None of the other ones were documented. This one was documented, and it's been told so many times that it's been a big deal. So, but I'm going to go tell you guys some legends and lore and show you some other weird buildings you probably didn't even know were in town. Have you guys been walking around a lot?
Not too much.
not without direction.
Oh,
Kind
fair
of
enough.
wandering, you know.
Okay, well, let's go look at some other old stuff. They don't like me as it is.
All those French tenements were empty now, so we tore all those out. We bought this whole block and built new tenements right along there. Built this beautiful wall. We thought it would be a nice place for the city to have that.
Just kind of keep those handy because we might run into other ones.
Hmm. I've got about 20 bucks in my shop.
So,
Fuck that.
the building down at the end, the brick one past the yellow,
Yeah.
it used to be called Bocce's Restaurant. Haunted as hell. Things like to move around in there. A mirror fell off the wall and didn't break when it was a restaurant, which tells me like it was a portal. Something came through it and didn't break it when it fell off the wall.
Yeah.
If I were to actually have a Stars in a Cemetery retail shop with a haunted hotel above it, that would be the location. So we'll put a kit in every room, like what we're using, and give them a 1-hour training session. And I will charge them $500 to run their own investigation if they can make it through the night.
Very cool.
With the store downstairs, obviously sell ghost hunting equipment and paranormal books. So it'd be like half bookstore, half ghost hunting shop.
Mm.
So my wife, who does all my logos and stuff, she'll do photography, like your thrill ride photography. So she'll take a picture of my group, and then at the end of the tour, everybody will come back to the shop and get their pictures. We're gonna make a list. So across the lot over there, we're not gonna go over there, but I do like to point it out because it is on record the oldest building in Charleston. So the building that has the white crosses on it, that's the Powder magazine. So it's within the Charlestown walls, the original Charlestown walls, and it is so far inland that they put it there on purpose in case it ever got hit. So the way it's designed, the walls are 32 inches thick. It's a groin vaulted ceiling, which means it has 8 giant 32-inch thick pillars around it and one in the center, and they all meet, so it has an arch inside. It's beautiful. The roof is filled with sand from 1712. It is still there. That's because, in case it did get hit, damage from the gunpowder would stay contained between the giant walls and the sand holding the blast down, so nothing else could get damaged. It's never been hit. It did serve in 11 different wars. Not full wars, but it was kind of like, let's shift the gunpowder to Charleston kind of thing. But it is a very cool building. It's not haunted. Everybody claims that it is. I have a season pass. Been in there dozens of times and get no activity whatsoever. As soon as that group leaves, we're going to kind of go through that, but I'll give you the gist only because we have a nice view. See the gas lamps down there? So that's the Pirate House. The Pirate House kind of ties into some of the stories here. So the Pirate House is where Blackbeard's men would come off the ship, and they would go have a pint, have a few women, go catch a play at Dock Street Theater. Sorry if I offended anybody with saying have a few women, but that's kind of how it went back then. But Blackbeard would stay on the ships and guard them. He's never set foot on Charleston soil.
Huh.
A block past that is Dock Street Theater, one of the top 10 haunted locations in America. Cool thing about that building is that there was a tunnel from the Pirate House underneath the ground over to Dock Street Theater.
Cool.
We just filled it in back in the 1990s. There was a claim that Blackbeard hid his treasure there, but it's all BS because he never set foot. It's not like he's going to send his men to land. It's not like he trusted them that much. But the other story goes with the big giant steeple that we saw from 2 blocks away. There's ghosts at Dock Street Theater. So a little history there. It was originally Dock Street Theater because this used to be Dock Street. It's obviously Queen Street now, or Church Street because of obvious reasons. So we changed it from Dock Street Theater to a hotel called Planters, and then we changed it back to Dock Street Theater that we know now. So that story is Nettie Dickerson used to work here at the church. She was past the marrying age of 17. She was 23. And this was during the time that the Dock Street Theater was the hotel. So she's watching all the prostitution going on down at the hotel, and she goes down there to go get a job because she wants to feel wanted again. She can't get married. She's too old. So she goes down there after putting on her best red dress, and she's the best loved girl in the whole place.
Hey.
But she's still unhappy. It's not what she really wanted. So she has to go out to the second-story balcony and think about coming back to the church. One night, the priest from the church sees that and goes down there to talk to her, and a storm rolls in, lightning strikes the wrought iron banister that she's leaning on and strikes her dead.
Damn.
Now, the story goes, when you see her ghost inside of Dock Street Theater, you can only see her from the knees up. The reason why is because when we...
Legs off.
No.
Oh, damn.
Close. But when we turned it back into Duxbury Theater that we know now, we raised that first floor ceiling, so she's walking on the floor that she knows.
Oh, super dope.
Right? So I've been in there. You can actually take daytime tours in there. It doesn't cost you anything. You just go in there and take pictures and check it out. However, there are certain places that they won't let people go. Oh, cool. We can actually walk up to the gate. I'll tell you the rest of the story. So, with that being said, other ghost that is said to be seen there is Junian Booth. Junius. I always get him mixed up. Junian or Junius. But he was the father of John Wilkes Booth, who was at Lincoln Inn Theater.
Right.
He was an actor during the original Duxbury Theater times, and he was a frequent actor. So we'll be brief up here because we don't actually have the actual gadgets that I like to bring to investigate. And I do like to show you that there's two different sides of the cemetery. This side is citizens only. Calhoun is buried over there. So he actually went back and forth because there was a debate over his citizenship. So he's in a sarcophagus, which means they can literally pick him up and move him wherever they need to. So he's over there now. And there's a sign right here that I like to show you. It says the only ghost of St. Philip's is the Holy Ghost. The reason for that, I mean, you can see how gorgeous the cemetery is. 1888, a woman passed away 10 days after the stillborn child.
Oh, shit.
Her name was Sue Howard Hardy. She's corrected it several times. Sue Howard Hardy. 1988, a photographer's in town, and he's getting pictures of all of our cemeteries, and it captures a full apparition.
Dope.
Yeah, like it is almost solid. It's a woman wearing a shawl and a baby basket next to her. And it's by the baby's grave. So he sends it off to Kodak because we didn't have cell phones and Photoshop and all that shit to debunk stuff. So he sends it to them. They couldn't do it. They couldn't debunk anything. I don't show the picture because it says any woman holding it will not feel well. Any pregnant woman holding the picture will not have a good pregnancy. As you can imagine, I'm a very superstitious guy and I'm not jinxing my tours. So if you want to look it up, Sue Howard Hardy, by all means look at it on a screen that you're not touching.
So is that what's listed at the sign, or just
that's why they did it?
They're tired of people bugging the cemetery.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Cool.
So there's another cemetery, probably half mile up, that's Unitarian Church. We'll actually go back down to Philadelphia Alley because he's probably want to come over here.
Can I show you some pictures I took the other night of that cemetery?
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I was just walking home, and he wasn't in town yet, and I walked through here, and my girlfriend likes cemetery photos, so I took some for her, and I don't know why they turned out great. I didn't stumble, I didn't quiver, I don't know why they're blurry.
It has to be, like, we'll look at the way it's blurred.
So I'm over here Saturday night. What's happening there?
What kind of phone is that?
It's a 927.
Okay.
I'm looking through. This is what I'm anticipating. I'm like,
Right.
just taking photos. What's happening there?
Wow. So
And then,
go back 2 pictures for me because I'd like something to compare it to. No, I'm sorry. Yeah. So I'm looking at the statue here. Now flip it on. And look where she landed. She landed on a wrought iron bar, and it's clear as day. So why is that clear as day, and the rest of everything around it is blurred? So
it looks like I'm like falling over. That's a flower.
do you have your flash on?
No.
That's why.
What is that?
That's something that wanted to be taken.
Looks like an extra of a foot.
It does.
It's foot and a leg. Lower
When you
leg.
don't have your flash on, you have to be super still because your shutter speed is going to be a lot different.
Okay.
But that one picture I was just talking about where the girl landed on the wrought iron bar,
Yeah.
if you can send that to me, text it to me, I'll have my wife analyze it, and I just need to know what type of phone you have. So her job is super interesting. She actually is the mobile manager for Best Buy. So she knows pretty much every cell phone, and for the Grazer and photography and graphic design. So when I send pictures, I need to know what type of phone it is, and she can either debunk it right away or say she's got something paranormal.
Okay.
Very cool.
So yeah, just text it to me. He has my number.
Yeah.
Theology. That's interesting.
Nah.
Tight.
So what story was I going into? Oh, so yeah, they put that sign up because the Unitarian Church. That's what I'm talking about. The Unitarian Church actually has the unmarked grave of Annabelle Lee. So go back to your old English class from freshman year in high school. Well, who was Annabelle Lee?
I was not paying attention. In high
Edgar
school.
Allan Poe poem.
Okay.
Annabelle Lee, who
Okay.
died from pneumonia. Edgar Allan Poe was stationed on Fort Moultrie on Sullivan's Island. The story all matches up.
I know that.
Yeah,
cool.
So there's actually the Po restaurant down there. It's
Huh.
amazing.
Oh, tight.
Yeah.
He's been everywhere,
Oh,
man.
yeah. I've been to the Poe restaurant.
Yeah.
That place
so
cool.
There's
that's
a
the
hotel
reason
in
why,
it.
is because he was stationed down the street. That's why that restaurant is there.
Nice.
Very cool.
So I love that restaurant. I don't go out to eat often, but when my in-laws are in town, that's where they take me. But yeah, they won't confirm or deny it. I've been up to the Edgar Allan Poe. As you can imagine, as an English guy, I could eat anything that involves writers. So I was in Virginia. What was I there for? Training for one of my normal jobs that I used to have. And the Poe Museum was like right down the street. I couldn't pass it up. So I asked them about it, and they're like, yeah, we can't confirm that. But me and my wife walked through the cemetery, plenty of unmarked graves, but I didn't have all my gear yet.
Sure.
So we'll have to go back. I actually want to make that part of the tour. I thought about, I'm actually breaking away from my silent partner, the guy you guys got a hold of originally today. I'm breaking away from him in January. I thought about making the 9 o'clock tour and going all the way up here, talking about all these cool little places. The Unitarian Church and going down the backside. But I gotta walk it and see if I can figure it out. Because I don't want to leave like Big John's to talk about paranormal activity, how it affects people.
Sure.
This is a good place to, where when you're listening to your audio, you turn it up. So that way you can, because the whistles are going to be faint. You can actually hear anything. Somebody back there. I can debunk that. I meant like turn up your audio for when I'm recording.
Okay.
So if when we go past this roof, like you straight off, you never know.
So you guys actually take a good time to do a tour because we're not running into a bunch of groups tonight. Trust me, you're gonna. Well, there's one. Like sometimes in this alleyway, it's like.
It sounds like this even with the hustle and bustle on a busy Saturday night on this day. This is what it sounds like, nice and quiet. I've talked way too much tonight. My mouth's pretty dry. I need to shut up.
We're enjoying it. We're enjoying it. It's Philadelphia Alley. There's an alley in Philly called Elkins Alley. And so it's the oldest street in Philadelphia.
There's the plaque there. I'll tell you. Middle. Told you, another damn tour. These guys are killing me tonight. They're just
Poe has a
bouncing all over.
home in Baltimore.
What's that?
Poe has a home in Baltimore you can tour.
Yeah,
There's
because
a-
the museum in Virginia wasn't his actual home. It just has a lot of his old artifacts. And apparently one of the newspapers that he worked for was in Virginia. So, but really cool stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
Alright, I'm gonna research here. Keep my books interesting. Keep them getting better. Motion lights may flash. It just depends. It only started doing it a few weeks ago. Yep, flash tonight. Are you looking at bocces? I'm looking at 2.4 million for that place to buy it. So you can start to see some of the fingerprints. So, I got some prominent ones over here, right there at your feet. You can definitely see that that's a child's handprint.
Yeah, no joke. That's dope.
Well, they were at Boone Hall and Drayton Hall too.
That's where I learned about that on the slave cabins. They
Yeah.
pointed out.
It's cool. The first person ever to actually build a helicopter.
Yeah, I just don't know.
Well, unfortunately, some of the riots that happen down here, I'm worried when you do what I do, if you really want to start mentioning anything about slaves. But it's part of our culture. And when I'm upfront and honest about it, it is what it is. I'm going to say it's part of our culture, it's part of our history. So these are, you guys know what these are?
No.
These are shutter holders. And depending on the style of them, it tells you how old they are. There was different iron workers in town. Same thing with all of our gates. Depending on the style of the gate, there's actually one designer that was from Charleston, born and raised.
Who did the circles?
Yeah, he actually did quite a bit.
He said if it's got a, I don't know the word, the circle, it's either over 200 years old or it's made by me.
We actually stopped here. We got one last building to check out and see what actually pops up.
Cool.
This building here was actually part of our cotton industry. The brick building, catty corner from us. So now it's condos in the back, and they're turning it into a wedding reception area in the front. So it's going to be considered waterfront. It's going to be about 50 grand. Plus it'll have like a 10-star restaurant. Yeah, it'll be ridiculous. Because it's going to have a rooftop
Smart.
too. Yep.
They're so smart.
Well, it used to be a brewery, and the brewery left because it's too haunted, kind of like Botches.
Huh.
But the story here is that when it was a cotton industry, the last guy who owned it as a cotton warehouse was George Poirier. George inherited the business from his dad, didn't know what he was doing. He was a silver spoon kid, so he got himself into a bunch of debt really, really quick through his inheritance. So we also had the boll weevil in town, which is a bug that eats cotton. So now he's up shit creek. He doesn't know what to do. So what's he do? To get rid of his American debt, he sells all of his cotton to the British. So again, waterfront, because that's where Pineapple Park is. So British ship rolls in, they unload all the cotton, horse and buggy from these back garages, and now I'm getting bit. So he's watching everything from the second story of the front. That's important because everybody says it's the third. All of my evidence says that it's the second. But anyway, it gets loaded up, one ship, one guy gets too close with a pipe, the whole ship catches fire, everybody dies. George watches the whole damn thing, he's already pissed off and depressed. His dad's legacy is gone, and he can't pay off all of his American debts. So what's he do? He piles up all the furniture, captain's chair on top, swings a noose, and hangs himself.
Damn.
It is said that you can see the shadow of a swinging corpse. I have yet to catch it, but I do get weird cold spots in the windows because of our thermal imaging.
Cool.
We also have weird cold spots at the peak of this building in the very front. You see the peak at the very top is made of stone, and then there's a same type of stone about 5 feet below it. There's usually sometimes a 30-degree difference between the two stones, and there shouldn't be.
Ah.
Yeah, they're getting nailed all over my ankles. My ankles are hairless. It's years of wearing black socks of being a retail professional. But anyway, the other weird thing about this particular building is I do get Zoe St. Amand that comes through from time to time. She's actually at Cleveland's Porch, 1 block past Philadelphia Alley, maybe 2 blocks. So the story with her is that she died in her home, which is Coogan's Porch now, by falling down the stairs. Coogan is actually a dog. The dog was a stray that the construction crew fed and took care of while they were reconstructing the house after she died. They just happened to build a memorial after Coogan in the yard, so the new owners decided to call the place Coogan's Porch. You can see Coogan's, there's other ones along the compound, the courtyard, but the real one is Coogan's Porch. But Zoe and her sister Elizabeth like to come through too, so I definitely want you to listen to your spirit box. I'll shut up for 5 minutes so you can listen to it.
Okay.
We're going to cross twice. And as we're walking up there, just kind of listen, like you'll hear me on mine say, hey, do I have Zoe or George? Kind of giving me an answer, but I get like things like spoon, fork, plate that tells me it's Zoe. I know it's Zoe coming through because she spells her name Z-O-E, not Z-O-E-Y. And that's what usually comes through. I've had it, I want to say at least 4 times, maybe 5, so that's a definitive Zoe. George, on the other hand, might come up with words like cotton, fire, ship, depressed, sad, you know, those kind of things, like things that go along with his story. So let's kind of go up and see what's going on with the front of this building. You have like intense listeners. It depends. So, you gotta remember, spirit work's going to literally pick what they want to make go off.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times I'll have somebody double check what you're doing. And then I usually have like my debunker for one person, they're my debunker. Help me figure out what's not going on. But yeah, there are times where mine's doing nothing with your spirit box, they want to go to yours, it's easier for them to use, you know, whatever the case might be. But I don't get excited with only one gadget going on. I usually wait for I have a thermal image and a digital image that tells me that there was a shadow person. So I kind of verify it with another gadget. Your EMF going off at the Eliza Lincoln site, I'll be listening to your spirit box pretty intensely during that spot because I know it's usually a hot spot and you had a high EMF. If you can just kind of sweep those windows for me, and what you're looking for is a blue windows to start turning darker blue or black.
Cool.
We're staying there tonight.
Hell yeah.
Right across from this thing.
That's why I gave you guys the address. Like this is 261, like this is the end. So like after we kind of like listen in for a few minutes and get a nice full sweep from the thermal, because I'm not getting much on mine. Your EMF usually goes crazy here, just because of the parking meters. There's electrical lines underneath. With the word scientist. Do I look like a scientist?
No.
There's something there. So what you guys will notice in the morning is with my analysis, I'll kind of look at everything as a collective, and I will listen to our hotspots on your based on the timestamp, and then I'll give you markers. So that way you don't have to listen to the whole thing. You can go right to it, and I'll give you the link that proves the validity of that particular thing coming through.
Cool.
Same thing with your thermal. If I find a shadow person, obviously I'm going to try to validate it with something else that we had a hotspot nearby or whatever.
Sure.
So, did you see any ghosts tonight? I know that was what your intent was.
Hell yeah. Oh, I got to see a bunch of cool stuff, man. This is the fall.
Well, I appreciate you guys paying attention and actually following the directions. This is like more of a teaching training type session. And I do get those people that don't always pay attention and they ask me again and again how to use their gadgets. So it's kind of like I'll work with you a little bit, but after that I need you to do the work. That's the whole point of it.
Sure.
So I got the name Jen. Definitely not you. Make sure you guys know a Jen that's passed on. So where are you guys going after this?
Hey, probably putt around downtown for a little bit.
I got you.
Legit, I figured the storm would be kicking off already.
Get you guys my card. Follow me back to. Where'd you guys park? Over here or back at this?
Over the side.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll walk back down that way. We're only about 5 minutes from there. And let's get you stopped. Good job keeping it recording all night.